It seems to me that there should be. And so that's what I'm setting about to look at. Oops, this is a little fast. Okay, I'm going to say that this, whatever we want to call this, this curriculum squared, okay, has 3 dimensions to it. There's compilation, there's cognition, and there's communication. And I'm an English teacher, so all of these are alliterated, you see. So this is this is the 3 C's, all right? And let's look at each one of these now individually. Compilation is the connection, creation, arrangement, and production of materials to be used in class. Okay, that is the handouts, the exercises, the tests. It's the stuff that all of us teachers do. Okay, you know, this is our everyday. We produce this stuff. That's compilation. Okay, but it's not yet curriculum in the sense. Although some people take it as such. You have a curriculum, yes, I have all these handouts and I have these readings and I have these exercises and tests and so forth, and that's a curriculum. But I'm going to say, no, that's not quite going to do it. Because, let me make, this is pretty fast. Okay, next is going to be cognition. Defined as the mental process or faculty by which knowledge is acquired, cognition encompasses all that we learn about a chosen subject in the process of teaching it. Okay? So as you teach something, as you begin to teach something, you begin to learn about that. Okay? And the more experience you have with that, the more you know about that. That's what I'm going to call cognition. And I think that actually is the most important part. Okay, we'll talk about that later. And then there's communication, which is fairly obvious. As it touches upon curriculum, the function of communication is to convey to an ever-widening audience what we have discovered in the process of teaching a course. The reason to have a curriculum, I suppose if we all were teaching in a one-room school, you know, somewhere in Montana, we wouldn't need a curriculum. We would just go ahead and do what we wanted to do. Presumably a curriculum has to be there because there are more than one persons who are going to teach this. And the critical part of this is that this is always where curriculum breaks down. That what can be gold in the hand of one teacher will turn to ashes in the hand of another. For no particular reason. Well, there actually are a number of reasons for doing that, but if you're going to have a curriculum, then communication is a critical part of that. Okay, you've got to be able to convey to others what you have learned through your cognition. Otherwise, it's going to fail. So we know that here in Georgia, there are a number of our talented teachers who are writing curriculum, and presumably they will go out to the provinces, out to the rural areas, okay? Unless there is the communication, unless there is, in fact, all of these, then it's going to fail. So now I'm going to get really complicated for just a minute here, because I want a definition of intelligence, and this is going to sort of guide. This is from Jean Piaget. It's the book, one of his many books, called The Psychology of Intelligence. The whole development of mental activity from perception and habit to symbolic behavior and memory, that is to say, the growth of mental activity, you know, development from child to adult, okay? To a higher operations of reasoning and formal thought. It's thus a function of this gradually increasing distance of interaction. So if you know anything about Piaget talked about, he's the one that discovered that children are terribly egocentric. They operate in a very small context. Okay, and that their conceptions of their conception of reality, their conception of objects, has to expand. And he is full of examples of doing that. Okay, this gradually increasing distance of interaction. Okay, so distance from the self, out into reality, that is. Okay, and hence of equilibrium between an assimilation of realities further and further removed from the action itself and accommodation of the latter to the former. So assimilation and accommodation, we'll talk about that. A famous example that he has. You take a 2-year-old, and you're in play school, okay, and you go and you draw something. You draw a figure, and the figure looks like it's a series of lines. One is long, and then one is shorter at both ends, and then shorter and shorter and shorter. Okay, and you say, "All right, boys and girls, do you see this? I wonder if you could copy this in your pages for me." Okay, and then you take it away. So they try to do it, and what they end up with is it's all sort of, they're crossing, they're unrelated, and so forth. Now, these children will never see this drawing again. But I come back to them. You come back to them a month later, or 6 months later, and you say, "Remember the drawing that we did? You remember? And I had lost mine. Will you do it again for me?" Each time they do it again, it gets better and better, even though they've never seen it before, again. Okay? So why is that? They have assimilated that image, okay, but they haven't accommodated. They haven't the structure, the mental structure, okay, to. Is it talking to me? They haven't got the mental structure, okay, to disentangle that. But increasingly they do. So that's what he means by concrete operations, formal operations, okay? So now I'm going to say, all right, then, this is the way curriculum works as well, because I look at education as essentially a decentering process, okay? Where you're expanding from the self an ever increasing distance of interaction, okay? And they assimilate and they read, but they have to create the structures, okay, in order to make sense of that. All right? So that's going to be my model, or that's going to be, not my model, but that's going to be my central, the guiding concept, of what happens. This is what happens with intelligence. This is what happens when we're building something, We're, we're building some knowledge. We're building a curriculum. All right? So this is it. It actually turned out to be a cube, but it's going to, and I'm going to explain. So there are going to be three probes. All right. Down here you've got the cognition. You're not going to be able to see this well. Over here you've got the communication, and here you've got the compilation.